If you saw a previous video where we were using some uh, puppets to make on a puppet show called Princess and Dragon, we're now working on the book to show the story, illustrated book, and I've completed 2 illustrated books. But first, let me review that the setting for the story was a castle just outside the castle. The characters included the knights that are on the castle, the princess who came out for a walk and was not sure if there were really dragons after the knights warned her about the dragons. Then she met a dragon slayer carrying a spear who said they really were dragons. And then a dragon showed up, but it was just a very young dragon. These are pictures that we got out of magazines and glued to the back of cardboard and gave a stand so that they could stand on their own while we put on the puppet show, if you'll recall. They chose to become friends rather than have the dragon slayer slay the dragon. And at the end, we had the dragon's mom show up at the castle because that's where she was supposed to meet the young dragon named Georgie. We had a little bit of special effects with her breathing fire across as she came in. So those are the characters. That's the setting. There's a bit of action where they talk and move around and then decide to become friends. I'm going to set these aside so I can show you these 2 books that we created in creating a book to illustrate the story. First one I'll show you is this 8-page book. In a previous video I showed you how to fold and cut a piece of paper to turn it into an 8-page book. And for an 8-page book, we don't have a whole lot of space to write the entire story and all the actions. So I'll show you the 8-page book first. Princess and the Dragon. One day, Princess went out of the castle. Watch out for dragons, is what the soldiers are telling her. She says, dragons? I don't know if there are any dragons. And then the next panel, it shows, close the gate. I smell a dragon. Did you say dragon? I am a dragon slayer. There's a dragon slayer showing up. And the princess says, so there really are dragons? And then the next panel shows Georgie showing up. Excuse me, ladies, I'm looking for my mother. We're supposed to meet here. I'm Georgie. And the princess says, you're so cute. And the dragon slayer says, are you a dragon? I'm a dragon slayer. Well, now we've got conflict. And in the next page says, Georgie says, my mother told me if I'm nice to a dragon slayer, they might be my friend. Would you like to be friends? And the dragon slayer says, you'd be my first friend. And the princess says, yay, we're all friends. Then the next page, princess says, let's have cupcakes in the castle. And both the dragon and the dragon slayer say, okay. And the next page, here comes Georgie's mom. Georgie, where are you? And then from the castle you hear, I'm having cupcakes with some friends in the castle, Mom. And the mom says, okay, don't be late for dinner. And then at the very end, on the back page, there's the mom flying off. And one of the guards says, I told you I smelled a dragon. The end. So 8 pages doesn't give you a lot of space to write all the details of the story. Great thing about the 8-page book is after you're done illustrating it, you can unfold it, put it on a copier, and copy a few for your friends, and then take the time to fold them back up, each one, fold and cut them back up into mini 8-page books, and then hand them out to your friends. If there's a longer story and you want to keep on illustrating and drawing more of a story, there's always the possibility of drawing on the other side as part 2. And then at the end of the book, what you might write would be open and refold for part 2. And then you'll have a 2-part story, outside and inside. And your friend can unfold it, refold it inside out, and have this part 2 of the story. So 8-page book, 8-page book. And then the other book we worked on was where we took 4 pieces of paper, folded them in half, regular copier paper, popped some holes in them. You could have stapled them as well. And then after we popped some holes in them, we tied them with some string going through, kind of like you lace your shoes and tie them at the top. So Princess and the Dragon, and of course I wrote down, I was written and illustrated by me, and made sure that I had all the details of the story for each of the pages. That was the title page. Cover on the title page just has a picture of a small castle. Then it starts off with Once Upon a Time. And if you want to pause it and read it, that's fine. I'm just going to point out the elements in the story. This is the princess leaving the castle and the guards are part of this story with the castle door open, so I had to make sure that the castle was in this page because the castle guards are warning her about dragons. In the next pages, a dragon slayer shows up. The castle isn't quite as important. You'll see they're closing up the gate there. So the castle is smaller and further away now that she's talking with the dragon slayer. And if you want to take the time to read that, I'll hold that still, but you can always put the video on pause. Then the next page, Georgie shows up, and you'll see that I'm moving the castle even further off the page because that's not quite as important to the story. And then Georgie talking, I've got him in the forefront a little bit talking to the princess and the dragon slayer. Now for the next part, the dragon slayer and Georgie are talking because they're having a conversation about him being a dragon, her being a dragon slayer, and the castle's not even there because we've gone in for a close-up of the two talking. Now the next page, they decide to be friends, so they're all smiling and getting along fine, and now the castle door is opening up again because they're about to go inside and have some cupcakes. Now the last pages show the mom showing up and the castle's there because that's where she and Georgie were supposed to meet, and you'll see that she's flying away on the last page and it says the end. So you have a lot more space to write more of the story. I'll hold that still if you wanted to read all the words in the story there. A lot more space to write more of the story and illustrate it as well. That's more of an illustrated book than the 8-page mini book, and you have a lot more space in that one. So 2 different ways to write the book and illustrate it. What I'd like you to do is take some objects or make some puppets and put them through some sort of a story. Just make it up. And if it seems like a really interesting story that you would like to write and illustrate, make it into an 8-page book if you can abbreviate it, or into a larger book by taking 4 papers, folding them in half, and then having larger space for writing more of a story and more illustrations. Have fun, especially with puppet shows that you put on with objects or puppets that you create, and then make up a story.